What is up, guys? What is up, gang? Let me quickly get a cell phone, actually. 1 second. Woo! Seeing that they tell me that. Funny. Yeah. What's going on, gang? I am going to be here for like 20 minutes or so, and then I got to just finalize my lineups, just chilling. Figured I had 20 minutes in the schedule to kill. Yeah, I'm down to chat. I don't know if people are going to be in here. I don't know what people are doing on a Sunday, but let's see if anybody's in here. We will wait and see. Sunday before lock at 1. Probably not a lot of people, but if anybody hops in, I'll give it like 5 to 10 minutes. What's going on, Justin? Yeah, I'll give it a couple minutes. I'll give it really like 1 or 2 minutes. What's going on, Madden? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? What is going on, everybody? Yeah, file in, ask whatever questions you want. I've analyzed this slate a good amount today, as it is the main slate. So, yeah, I have a lot to talk about if you want. But, yeah, the article is out on Patreon. Happy to answer any questions that you want. Taking some big stances today. Not playing anything major. What's going on, Andre? What's going on, Andre Bean? How you doing? Not playing anything major overall, but yeah. What do we got? 8 people here. Cool. Folty and Verlander, says Michael L. Yeah, I'm 100% full fade on Folty today. Again, not playing a lot of lineups, but don't want any Folty today. What's going on, Brian? What's going on, Michael L? Yeah, so I like Verlander, obviously, a ton today, earlier in the video, if you're a patron. I think you need Verlander in Houston is too expensive to stack. Yeah, I think you have 2 options today. You get to Verlander, cheap pitcher, some decent stacks. And there's some decent stacks out there that are decently priced. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot, actually. I mean, even the Yankees are decently priced with Torres and Judge, both below 4,500. But you have that option. You have the Verlander option with the cheap pitcher, get the decent stacks, and then you have the option of cheap pitcher with not Verlander, somebody 9K or below, and you can get to Houston. You can get to most of Houston. But I'm not going to get to any Folty today, in my opinion. Who's the pivot, Michael L. says, from Folty? Yeah, I'm not going to get to Folty because he's $7,000. He's a terrible pitcher, and everybody's owning him. So what you're getting when you play Mike Folty today is a guy that everybody else is on in tournaments. If you want to play him in cash, fine, take your shot. But everybody else is on this guy in tournaments. He is, in my opinion, one of the worst 3 pitchers on this slate. In my opinion, he's probably one of the worst 3 pitchers. And that's taking into account Asher Wojciechowski. That's kind of not really knowing what we have in Aaron Siviol. But he's one of the worst 3 pitchers on the slate. I get it. He's facing Miami, but he gives up a lot of power. Highest hard hit percentage on the slate. Again, if nobody was playing Mike Folty today, yeah, it makes sense. He's facing Miami. They have a 3.8. Although their total is rising. It's important to continue to watch totals until lock. Their total is approaching 4 now, which is much more beneficial if you want to stack it or get away from Folty than the 3.6 that it opened at. So, yeah, Folty's he's a terrible pitcher. He gives up way too much power, way too much contact. This Miami team, although they've been bad all year, they've been better over the last month and a half. They actually can hit home runs, Garrett Cooper, Brian Anderson. I'm not trying to hype up on Miami stack, although I think it's great leverage. I'm just trying to say you already take a risk. Think about this in terms of a market, right? You're in a market right now in fantasy when you're playing each other, since there's ownership and that matters based on your performance. So if you have a market and you have a guy who's already risky, he's risky if you play him on his own, in Mike Folty, in my opinion, today, because he's probably the worst pitcher on the slate for fantasy purposes. Him and Asher. So you play him, he's already risky. Now everybody in the market is taking a risk on him or a high ownership on him because I see and I hear that there's going to be high ownership. So everybody in the market's taking a high risk on a guy who's already risky. That makes that a very, very thin play. It makes it so hard for it to go right. Even if he does well against Miami today, even if he does well, scores 20 points, you're still competing, 30% of the field today, if not more. Yeah, I'm going to pass on Mike Folty, who I think is a terrible pitcher, who I just based on the data this year is a terrible pitcher. 2.51 home runs per 9 is the highest on the slate, highest hard hit percentage on the slate, second highest ISO to righties on the slate, pretty much the highest ISO to righties on the slate if you factor out Hector Noesi in his 1 start this year. Justin says I might play Brault. Yeah, I like Brault. Verlander and Brault is the option that I would go towards probably the most today if you are going to be playing Verlander. Look, St. Louis, you play both sides of that, in my opinion. If you're only entering one lineup, you obviously have to pick, but you have Brault and you have the Cardinals. Both, I think, are good plays. Brault because of his price point, because he doesn't give up a lot of damage in terms of home runs, and does at least strike out lefties one side of the plate instead of not striking out either side of the plate. which is also a concern with Fulte. And then, yeah, you do have the other side of this where the Cardinals are back to pretty much full strength, and they have a 5.3 implied run total. Yeah, I think both sides of it's good. I don't think it's the best matchup by any means, but he's not facing Houston today. He's not facing the Yankees or Boston. He's facing the Cardinals, who, although they're back to full strength and they have a nice implied run total, I don't need 20 fantasy points out of Steven Brault. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic if I got it, but I don't need it. I'd be happy with 12. What do you think about Bassett for a GPP, says J.A.? I love Bassett today. So I guess love is a strong word, right? It's a very sensitive word. But no. Chris Bassett at 9,100. If you're not going to Justin Verlander today, I'd probably get to Chris Bassett. The matchup is fantastic. He's a solid pitcher. He's $3,300 less than Verlander. He's probably my SP1 if you're not going to Verlander, because what he allows you to do is save $3,300, and that's exactly how you get to the Houston stack if you want it. I could also see Miami going off on him. Yeah, I have interest in 5-man Miami stacks. I have interest in 3-man Miami stacks. It's not with the hope of, oh, they're going to crush it today. I know they are. No, it's with the, I think Fulte's bad. He has a lot of ownership on him. I can leverage this field greatly today. I don't want to play any of him. And if I play Miami, well, now I have all the leverage in the world. Do I think they have an opportunity to score 10 runs today? I think it's very unlikely. Has it happened this year before? Yeah, it's happened about 5 or 6 times that Miami has won a slate because they've runs for every single time that they've played this year. And obviously we know that they don't always finish with 3 runs. Eaton or Dimitri, whatever his name is, Eaton. Assuming it's a one-off there, Eaton. Brian says, how about a Kansas City lineup or pitcher? No, I'm not going to go to Kansas City today. Look, I know Detroit's terrible. What is Detroit's implied run total? I believe it was something less than ideal. Detroit's implied run total, let's refresh this. .3, so yeah, I mean, it's low. Have we had any more movement? So Houston's total comes down by 0.1. The Red Sox total has dropped. We don't check this stuff before lock because people are just not knowing of it. The fact that that went down that much means that a lot of professional bettors who make a lot of money gambling, and I think there's only like 100 people who are actually profitable in sports betting in the entire goddamn country. Yes, I said 100. I'm not overreacting to that. It's what I hear from industry people, podcasts, and just also personal beliefs. I don't think any of the touts that you see online trying to give you out money or give you out picks for money, it's just all bullshit. You shouldn't be paying anybody for picks. It's literally a scam. You probably haven't won any money, and that's why you're still floating around looking for more picks. But yeah, the Red Sox total dropping by 0.6, I would say is worrisome. It means that a lot of people see something that they don't like in this lineup. I mean, you have a lineup that has no Mookie Betts already today, so that's one concern right there. I'm starting it off with a guy who you pick up from AAA today who has absolutely no power. So, yeah, this is worrisome. Although it's still a high implied total, it's much less than you actually wanted. So, would be concerned about that. Anything else that has moved? Anything dramatic? Milwaukee has dropped. Already wasn't interested in Milwaukee. Texas's run total is low, so that's actually good. So that gives me more interest in Jordan Lyles if you can get to him. So whoever asked for the pivot, it would be Jordan Lyles in my opinion to the very chalky Mike Fulte. So Miami's now up 0.2, so they're up to 3.8, so that's good. I like that too. What do we got? Who else is saying stuff? What about Toronto stack today? Yeah, Toronto, decent implied run total. I believe it's still 4.5, right? So you got Toronto at decent implied run total. I think I'm a Yankee fan. I think Tanaka is terrible against any decent team. 4.5. The only problem with Tanaka is he mainly gives up damage to lefties. I haven't looked at the Toronto lineup today. I imagine Cavan Biggio's in there, so that's a good play. Not very high on Toronto, though, overall. They kind of just fall to the middle of the pack of punt. But is he? If he's going to be 25% owned, and the reason that this implied total is dropping probably a good amount is because Mookie Betts is in and this guy's in, shows you all the confidence in the world that this is going to affect the Red Sox overall scoring. So I guess he's a decent punt, but if you're playing in tournaments, he has no power. I don't know what you're doing there. I guess you're just trying to fit in the rest of the stack. But I usually like to target the guys who are more expensive in stacks because they're usually less owned. When they're really cheap like that, again, it's nice because he's at the top of the lineup, so I can't really slam it too hard. But I don't know what the upside is in a guy like Owings, whatever his name is. I think his upside's like 4 or 5 fantasy points today, and that's like a ceiling. He's not going to hit a home run, and he'll probably hit one today. No, I don't have any interest in a Cleveland stack today. It's a true story, says Brian. Shea White Tony says, all these providers are scam artists. I hope you're not talking about me, but yeah, I mean, if you're going into Twitter DMs and saying, oh, can I buy a lineup today? Or you're going into some Facebook groups trying to buy lineups. I don't know, one, what you're doing with your money. Do you have a budget? Do you keep track of shit? Because I don't know why you're just throwing your money away. And number two, yeah, these people have none of their best interest in mind for you. It's a quick buck. Oh, I just made $50 because this guy, I'm going to give him a bunch of picks when I get home from work at 5:30 for the NBA at 6:30. And I'm going to have no actual information, nothing in depth. And yeah, for some reason, these people think I'm a genius, right? I don't understand why people actually pay people for DraftKings line. If you're somebody in here who has paid somebody or is continuing to pay somebody for a DraftKings lineup, I don't know like the people you're buying them from, you're probably more profitable than. That's just the honest truth. Like, nobody should feel comfortable selling lineups to people because it's all variance. It's so much variance. If you're selling cash lineups, the amount of money you're paying for those cash lineups is probably making you not profitable right there because you're already fighting the rake. Now you have to fight your bookie or your lineup provider. Yeah, man, just don't be buying from those guys. They're all a bunch of sketchy people who have none of your best interests in mind. Bankroll management, says Brian. Yeah, exactly. In that NFL course, I have a pretty like 20-minute section on bankroll management and just the things that I use, the Excel sheet. Hey, Sal, I need a pitcher that will lower my ERA and whip today. What do you think? What do you mean lower your ERA and whip? Why your ERA and whip? Lower it. What does that mean? With a low, or are you saying will lower? I don't know what that means. Best wins come off watching baseball and using the numbers and EQ, says Brian. Yeah, I think using the numbers is a big part of it. I honestly don't think you have to watch an inning of baseball to win any sort of money in Mlb Dfs. I don't think so at all. I think it's somewhat beneficial in NBA. Don't think you need to do it there. Don't think you need to do it at all in the NFL. I think it's honestly a waste of time because what you're seeing in the data, if you watch baseball, okay, it's god-awful and boring, but if you watch baseball, you're not going to pick up on things. You just can't. You're not going to pick up on things like hard hit percentage, and over the course of a season, how many people are left on base in a week by a pitcher in a month. It's just really difficult. The only way it's worth paying for is if you're paying thousands of dollars every day. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Justin, in that sense then. I'm not talking about websites. Like, there's websites out there that have really good content. If you're getting information or tools, yes, that's fair for you to be paying for those because somebody else, I mean myself included, is sitting there for hours a day doing all the stuff that is helping you within 5 minutes of reading an article or 10 minutes of reading an article, 20-minute podcast. So yes, that makes sense. Somebody's actually going in and doing the work that you would have to spend 5 hours of to get sharp information. If you're just buying somebody's lineup with no information as to why they, one, went with that lineup, or two, you're literally cookie cutter plugging in their lineup, you can be damn sure many other people are running the same lineup, so you have no upside to win a tournament. If you're buying lineups in cash, man, I really don't know what you're thinking. Yeah, Brian, I love sports too. Baseball's just so goddamn boring to watch. I watch. Other than that, no, baseball's so bad. It's just so dry and boring, and they try and continue to make it fun, and it's terrible. Even in the most home run friendly year, it's still terrible. What is it, 12:35? All right, I'll stay on. How many people are in here? 31, not bad. I'll stay on for like 10 more minutes. Ask any questions you got. And yeah, then I'm going to have to just finalize my lineups. I'm probably only playing one main lineup across a couple of contests today. No cash. I'll probably continue to lose all my money in Mlb Dfs. So yeah, that's a good spot to go towards. I mean, the tools and lines are worth paying for if you play $1,000 of lines in a day and you can't keep up with every line. And I disagree. The tools are definitely worth playing for. Whether it's an Awesemo, a Fantasy Labs, or Roto Grinders, whatever you're paying for in the tools, if they're there and helpful, yes, they're worth paying for. Lineups, no. You should never be buying lineups. Even if you enter $1,000 a lineup a day, why are you buying somebody else's lineup for some of those? Those are automatically not going to win you any money long term because those people are not putting in any effort. It's just my thing. Metro's a play today? What do you mean? Mets or Astros there, Brian? Which one? Acuna or Martinez? I imagine you mean JD. I'd go JD Martinez, Madden, if I had to pick between one of them. What's your favorite stack, says JJ Rob? That's a loaded question. It depends where you're going with pitcher. it's hard to have a favorite stack. The Astros are by far the best stack on the slate, but they're also the most expensive. 6 guys over 5,000, 7 4,900 or above, and they don't let you get to Verlander today. So it depends where you're going with pitching. If you're somebody who wants to play Verlander today, well, you're not going to get to the Astros. I think there's some nice stacks. I think the Royals are very cheap, have upside at 4.7. I like the Marlins as a mini to full stack as kind of a very risky play, but again, everybody's on Fulte. I think the Yankees are fine with a nice implied run total. I was on the Red Sox. I'm going to have to adjust some of my lineups because I don't like seeing this number pull the Red Sox down, 0.6. That's not great. Yeah, it depends. If you're not playing Verlander, then yeah, get to the Astros. If you're not playing Verlander, you're missing out on upside at pitcher, so get to the Astros in my opinion. The reason I don't want to get to the Astros a lot today, last night the Astros went for 25 runs, whatever it was, right? Literally the definition of what I talk about in terms of ownership. They went for like 25 runs last night. Everybody owned them. Some of those guys were 30% owned last night. And the fact that they were that highly owned in some tournaments, even if you had them, you didn't have the right one. You had 4 of the right ones, not one of them. You didn't win a damn thing. You had all 4 of the right Astros that you needed, both of the right pitchers, but you didn't have that guy from the Reds, Aquino or whatever, who hit three home runs. So I'd rather not have to get that right. Even when they go off, they're so chalky. And they're going to be more chalky tonight because they by far have the best matchup on the slate. They're by far the best team for their matchup. And not only that, they just went off last night, so everybody's going to own them again. So I don't like the idea of no matter how good they play. Literally 25 runs last night or whatever it ended up being. I saw 23 at one point. They played so well last night, and it didn't even matter for 29.99% of the people who had the proper Astros because you didn't have a guy named Aquino from the Reds who hit 3 home runs, or you didn't have the right SP2. So when they're that highly owned, everything has to go right for your lineup because everybody is on them, and then there's so many lineups you're still battling with. That's why ownership matters in baseball so much. I have different opinions on the NFL ownership compared to baseball, how much it matters. Baseball, well above that. Because so many people are going to get on so many players in a similar stack. So yeah, at that point, I think the Astros are fine to get to if you're going to be different elsewhere with your one-offs, but then it's just so hard to win a tournament because everybody's on them again. So I kind of like the idea of getting to Verlander, leveraging it that way a little bit by not getting to the Astros, and then getting to whatever it might be. Kansas City seems like a nice stack. I like Miami today in mini stacks, even full stacks potentially. That's where I'm at. Brian says the Mets. In Philly, they're the Metros. Interesting. Yeah, the Mets are kind of a team that in the article today I didn't write up for Patreon, but I did like them. They're, again, another team just like Toronto. They're like a team that I think has upside today, but I'm just not going to get to because there's 3, 4, 5 other stacks in all different price ranges that I like more. Just hopped in. What are your thoughts on Houston today? Sam, you got in just in the perfect time. I imagine you heard all of that because I see you say appreciate it. I bought a house with a line I got from Cam ATL. Definitely some luck there, but he's a dude who's solid for their customers. Yeah, I don't know who Cam ATL is, so maybe he's not like the 99% of other lineup providers who are just going to be surviving for like 6 months, make a couple $1,000s off of some people, fake like they actually know something, and then they're done. But no, that's actually fantastic, Justin, that you bought a house with that. That's insane. LA, Ohtani, and Trout, question mark. Yeah, I mean, LA's got a nice implied run total today. The matchup's okay. Let me get back to the actual page here. Yeah, the matchup's okay against Cashner, but he's a guy who's a ground ball pitcher, 50+% ground ball rate, and he just doesn't give up as much home runs as other guys on the slate. So LA, I think, is fine in like one-off spots. I don't like full stacking or even mini stacking them. Correa and Bregman are my favorite from Houston. Phillip, Irvine, or Eaton in a GPP. I'll probably go with that's just like a toss-up. Irvine, I guess, but it depends. What are you doing there, Madden? Are you stacking one of those teams? Are they your one-offs? Yeah. SP1, SP2, Lester Norris, question mark. Yeah, I liked Lester earlier today. Not really on Lester. And that's kind of where I go with that. But yeah, I'm going to go change my lineup, so I will see you all later. Peace out, gang. What up? And